The massive screen in the Galactic Council chamber showed a blue and green planet spinning slowly. Du Jin stood before the council, pointing at the image with a three-fingered hand. His silver skin reflected the bright lights of the chamber as he spoke to the 100 representatives seated in rising circles around him. This is the planet designated as X-2753, known to its inhabitants as Earth, Du Jin said. Our studies show it is completely unsuitable for any advanced life forms. The council members whispered among themselves. Many had heard stories about this strange planet, but few knew the real facts. Du Jin touched his datapad, and new images appeared on the screen. They showed violent storms, burning deserts, freezing mountains, and deep oceans. This planet experiences temperature swings of over 100 degrees. Its gravity is crushing. Its atmosphere is filled with corrosive oxygen. Its oceans are made of toxic hydrogen and oxygen compounds. No intelligent species could possibly evolve there. In the back of the chamber, young researcher Hanbai sat quietly, looking at her own datapad. Her green eyes narrowed as she studied readings that made no sense. According to her instruments, there were clear signs of technology coming from Earth. But that was impossible, wasn't it? 3 different species have tried to establish colonies on Earth, Du Jin continued. All of them died within days. The Youngsteri couldn't handle the gravity. The vent collapsed in the thick atmosphere. The krill were destroyed by the temperature changes. We must mark this planet as a death world and warn all spacefaring races to stay away. Hanbai raised her hand slowly. She knew speaking up against senior scientist Du Jin was risky, but she couldn't stay quiet about what she had found. Yes, junior researcher. Du Jin's voice was cold. He didn't like interruptions. Sir, I'm picking up artificial signals from the planet's surface, Hanbai said. Her voice was firm despite her nervousness. Radio waves, digital transmissions, and energy patterns that can only come from technology. The chamber erupted in loud discussions. Du Jin's face darkened with anger and disbelief. Impossible, he shouted. Check your equipment. It must be malfunctioning. Nothing can survive on Earth, let alone build a civilization. Hanbai stood up, her silver skin flushing slightly blue with excitement. I checked 3 times, sir. The signals are real. Look at these images I captured. New pictures appeared on the big screen. They showed cities, roads, vehicles, and satellites. The council members fell silent in shock. These images are from all over the planet, Hanbai explained. There's a species living there. They call themselves humans. They don't just survive on Earth. They thrive there. They've built cities in the deserts, in the frozen lands, and even on the edges of their oceans. Du Jin stared at the images, his scientific mind struggling to accept what he was seeing. But the conditions. It's not possible. The head of the Galactic Council, a tall figure named He Jun, leaned forward in his seat. It seems, senior scientist, that we need to reconsider what is possible. Junior researcher Hanbai, please prepare a full report. We need to know everything about these humans and how they survive in conditions that kill every other species we know. Hanbai nodded, trying to hide her smile. As the council chamber buzzed with excited conversations, she looked back at the image of Earth on the screen. Somewhere down there was a species that had done the impossible. They had mastered a death world. And she was going to be the one to find out how they did it. The research vessel Starseeker hung in Earth's orbit, its silver hull gleaming in the sunlight. Captain Juho stood on the bridge, looking down at the blue planet through the main viewport. His crew was the first to volunteer for this mission, after Hanbai's discovery shocked the Galactic Council. Atmospheric analysis complete, Captain, said Sumin, the ship's xenobiologist. She looked up from her screens with worried eyes. The air is just as toxic as we thought. 21% oxygen. It would kill most species in the galaxy. Yet somehow the humans breathe it, said Taiwan, the cultural expert. He was watching videos they had picked up from Earth's broadcasts. And look at this. They run for fun. In this gravity, Jai-Ho walked over to Ta-One's screen. The video showed humans running in something called a marathon. Hundreds of them, moving easily under Earth's crushing gravity. It didn't make sense. "Captain," called the sensor operator, "we're picking up a transmission." They'd spotted us. "Put it on the main screen," Jai-Ho ordered. A human face appeared. The alien crew stared in amazement. The human had no scales, no protective outer shell. Their skin looked soft and vulnerable. "Unknown vessel, this is Earth Space Control," the human said. "Please identify yourself." Jai-Ho stepped forward. They had practiced this moment. "Earth Space Control, this is Captain Jai-Ho of the Galactic Council research vessel Starseeker. We come in peace." There was a pause. Then the human smiled. "Welcome to Earth, Starseeker. We've been wondering when the galaxy would notice us." Hours later, Jai-Ho's team sat in a room in a place called Seoul Space Center. The humans had invited them to land. The ship's doctor had given them protective suits to survive Earth's conditions, but the humans walked around in simple cloth coverings called clothes. Su-Min was running tests on everything, her scientific curiosity overcoming her fear. "The water here," she said, holding up a clear container, "it's the same toxic hydrogen-oxygen compound that fills their oceans. And they drink it." Ta-One was talking with a human scientist, learning about Earth's history. "Your people survived an ice age?" he asked, amazed. "And now you live in both frozen lands and burning deserts." "We adapt," the human scientist said simply. "It's what humans do best." Jai-Ho watched his team work. The humans were nothing like they expected. They looked weak, but they were strong. They had no natural armor, but they survived in conditions that would kill protected species. They were walking contradictions. A human child ran past their group, laughing. The alien crew watched in shock as the small human moved easily in Earth's gravity, breathing the poisonous air without effort. "I think," Jai-Ho said quietly to his team, "we need to change how we think about strength. These humans, they are not like anything we have seen before." Su-Min nodded, still staring at her readings. "According to these tests, they are technically impossible. Their bodies should not be able to do what they do. But here they are." "Captain," Ta-One called from his station, "the humans want to show us something. They call it sports." Jai-Ho looked at the screen Ta-One was watching. Humans were lifting heavy weights, running at high speeds, swimming in their toxic oceans, and climbing frozen mountains. All things that should kill them. "Send all of this to the council," Jai-Ho ordered. "They need to see this. We're not dealing with survivors of a death world. We're dealing with masters of it." As the data streamed back to the Galactic Council, Jai-Ho wondered what other surprises these humans would show them. One thing was already clear. Everything they thought they knew about what life could and couldn't do was wrong. Earth wasn't a death world. It was a forge, and it had created something extraordinary. Lead researcher Yun-Suk stood in the middle of Seoul's Olympic Stadium, watching humans train. The Galactic Council had sent him to study how humans could do what they did. After 2 weeks on Earth, he still couldn't believe what he was seeing. A human athlete ran past him, moving fast despite Earth's heavy gravity. Yun-Suk checked his instruments. The human's body temperature stayed steady even though they were working hard. Another impossible thing to add to his growing list. "Would you like to try lifting some weights?" asked the human coach. Yun-Suk looked at the metal bars and round plates the humans used to build strength. Even in his powered suit, he wasn't sure he could lift what the humans did with just their bodies. "I must decline," Yun-Suk said politely. "The gravity here is too strong for my species. We cannot risk injury." The coach nodded understanding. "That's what makes your visit so interesting. Everything that's normal for us seems impossible to you." Yun-Suk's research team was spread across the stadium. They watched humans swim, run, jump, and fight in special contests they called martial arts. Every observation added to their confusion. Sumin, who had stayed after first contact to help with the research, came running up to Yunsuk. "You need to see this," she said, holding out her datapad. "I've been studying their medical records. These humans, they repair themselves." Yunsuk looked at the data. Humans could heal broken bones, torn muscles, and even some damaged organs. Their bodies would grow new skin over wounds. They could fight off tiny harmful life forms called bacteria and viruses that lived everywhere on Earth. "How do they do it?" Yunsuk asked. "Their bodies are always fighting," Sumin explained. "Every day they battle gravity, temperature changes, and harmful things in their air and water. They don't just survive these battles, they get stronger from them." Across the stadium, another researcher called for them. Taiwan had set up a test to measure human strength. A group of humans had agreed to demonstrate something they called construction work. They watched as the humans lifted heavy metal beams, climbed tall structures, and worked in the hot sun. They wore only simple protection: hard hats, gloves, and boots. No powered suits, no gravity neutralizers, no atmospheric filters. "In our worlds," Taiwan said, "we use robots for this kind of work. The conditions are too dangerous for living beings, but humans do this every day." Yunsuk wrote everything down, but he knew the Galactic Council would have trouble believing it. Humans worked in freezing cold and burning heat. They went underwater for fun. They climbed mountains where the air was too thin to breathe. They ran on broken bones when they had to. They survived things that would kill any other species. A small crowd had gathered to watch the aliens study the construction workers. The humans seemed amused by how amazed the aliens were at normal human activities. "I think we need to change the question," Yunsuk said finally. "We've been asking how humans survive on Earth, but that's the wrong question." "What's the right question?" Sumin asked. "How did Earth create humans?" Yunsuk looked around at the stadium, the city, the world these impossible beings had built. "This planet isn't a death world. It's a training ground, and humans aren't survivors. They're graduates." The research team looked at each other as they realized what this meant. They weren't studying victims of a harsh world. They were studying the species that had mastered it, and they had only begun to understand what humans could do. Kita stood before the Galactic Council, his silver scales shining under the bright lights. As the Council's senior representative, he had come to Earth to test the humans' abilities himself. He didn't believe the stories about these creatures who lived in impossible conditions. "We challenge you to prove your strength," Kite announced to the human leaders gathered in the United Nations building. "Show us that you can truly survive anywhere on your world." Commander Jin-A stepped forward from the group of human representatives. She was tall for a human, but still much shorter than Kita. She showed no fear as she looked up at him. "We accept your challenge," she said. "Name the conditions." Kite touched his data pad, and images appeared on the large screen behind him. 4 locations, 4 tests. You must survive in the worst places on your planet. The screen showed the locations: the freezing cold of Siberia, the burning heat of the Sahara Desert, the thin air of Mount Everest, and the crushing depths of the Mariana Trench. No other species could survive in even one of these places. "How long?" Jin-A asked. "1 Earth week in each location," Kita said. He was sure this would prove humans were not as strong as they claimed. "No special equipment except what you already use in these places." Jin-A smiled. "We can do better than that. We won't just survive. We'll work in these places." The alien observers whispered among themselves. "Work? In those conditions, it was impossible." "I will lead the Siberia team," Jin-A continued. "We will build a research station in the snow." More humans stepped forward. A man named Yunho volunteered to lead the desert team. He would set up solar panels in the Sahara. Suji, a mountain climber, would guide the Everest team to build a weather station near the peak. And Ta-Jin, a deep-sea expert, would lead the ocean team to repair cables on the seafloor. Keita stared at them. "You will die," he said simply. The cold in Siberia will freeze you. The desert heat will cook you. The mountain has no air to breathe. The ocean depths will crush you. We've been doing all these things for years, Janae said. Humans live and work in every corner of Earth. These places you call impossible, they're just our home. The council members watched the humans prepare for their tasks. They checked their normal equipment: warm clothes for Siberia, cooling suits for the desert, oxygen tanks for the mountain, and diving gear for the ocean. No special alien technology, no advanced protection. Just tools humans had made themselves. They're going to die, one council member whispered to Kita. We can't let them do this. But Kita saw something in the humans' eyes that worried him. They weren't afraid. They looked excited. They were eager to show what they could do. The challenge starts tomorrow, Kita announced. May your gods help you survive. Janae laughed. We don't need gods to survive Earth, she said. We just need what we've always had: our bodies, our minds, and our determination. Watch and learn what humans can really do. As the humans left to prepare, Kita wondered if he had made a mistake. He had meant to prove humans were weak, but looking at their confident faces, he began to worry that they were about to prove something very different. Chief Observer Dong-hyuk watched the screens in the monitoring station. Each screen showed one of the 4 human teams facing Earth's harshest conditions. What he saw made him question everything he knew about survival. In Siberia, where the temperature was 60 degrees below zero, Commander Jinae's team worked in the howling wind. Their breath turned to ice crystals in the air, but they kept building. The walls of their research station rose from the frozen ground. When a storm hit, they didn't stop. They tied ropes between themselves and kept working. Impossible, Dong-hyuk whispered, checking his instruments. They should be dead from cold. The second screen showed the Sahara Desert. The temperature there was 50 degrees above zero. Yunho's team laid out solar panels under the burning sun. Their water supplies were limited, but they rationed carefully. At night, when the temperature dropped to freezing, they kept working under bright lights. Their bodies shouldn't be able to handle such temperature changes, said one of Dong-hyuk's assistants, but they don't even seem troubled. On Mount Everest, where the air was so thin that most species would die in minutes, Suji's team climbed steadily upward. They carried heavy equipment for the weather station. When one team member showed signs of altitude sickness, they didn't retreat. They gave him extra oxygen and kept going. Look at their determination, another observer said. Even when it hurts, they don't stop. The most amazing sight was in the Mariana Trench. Taijin's diving team worked under 8 tons of pressure per square inch. They'd moved carefully in their diving suits, repairing cables on the ocean floor. The darkness and cold didn't slow them down. They even seemed to enjoy the challenge. Their bodies should be crushed at that depth, Dong-hyuk said. Those simple diving suits shouldn't be enough protection, but they're doing fine. As the week went on, the humans didn't just survive. They finished their work. The research station in Siberia was complete. The solar farm in the Sahara was running. The weather station on Everest was sending data. The ocean cables were fixed. Kita came to the monitoring station on the last day. He watched in silence as the teams returned from their missions. None had lost a single member. They were tired but happy. I don't understand, Kita said to Dong-hyuk. We gave them the hardest tests we could think of. We sent them to places where no other species can survive, and they treated it like a normal work week. Dong-hyuk looked at his final report. The data showed something remarkable. It's not that humans can survive these conditions, he said. It's that these conditions made humans what they are. Earth threw everything it had at them, and instead of dying, they adapted. They got stronger. The humans gathered for a celebration after the challenge. They shared stories and laughed about their experiences. To them, it hadn't been a deadly test. It had been another chance to show what humans do best: face the impossible and overcome it. We need to change how we see Earth, Dong-Huk told Kita. We called it a death world because nothing could survive its extremes. But we were wrong. Earth isn't a death world. It's a training world. And humans aren't its victims. They're its champions. In the Great Hall of the Galactic Science Academy, young scientist Minji stood before the assembled experts. Her silver hands moved quickly as she organized her data on the large display screen. The room was packed with representatives from every spacefaring species, all eager to hear her findings about humans. We must change how we think about species strength, Minji began. Her voice was clear and confident. Earth humans have shown us that we were wrong about what makes a species powerful. The screen behind her showed images from the survival challenge. The humans working in extreme cold, terrible heat, thin air, and crushing depths. But Minji had discovered something even more interesting in her research. Humans don't just survive these conditions, she explained. They get stronger from them. When humans lift heavy things, their muscles grow bigger. When they breathe thin air, their bodies make more blood cells. When they face new challenges, they adapt. The audience whispered among themselves. This was not how life was supposed to work. Species were supposed to find safe places to live, not become stronger from facing danger. Minji showed them more data. Look at human bones, she said. They grow thicker when humans do heavy work. Their skin grows tougher when it faces rough conditions. Their minds learn from every challenge. They call this getting better through practice. An old scientist stood up. But surely there are limits, he said. They cannot keep getting stronger forever. Minji smiled. Humans have a saying. The only limit is the one you believe in. They keep breaking the limits we thought were fixed. They learn to hold their breath longer, lift heavier weights, survive in worse conditions. They teach their children to do even more. She touched her screen, and new pictures appeared. Human cities in deserts and frozen lands. Human ships on the deadly oceans. Human buildings reaching into the sky. I have created a new system for ranking species strength, Minji announced. Instead of measuring what conditions a species can survive, we measure how well they adapt to new challenges. Under this system, humans rank at the top. We call them apex adaptives. The hall erupted in excited discussion. This was revolutionary. It changed everything they thought they knew about survival and strength. But what does this mean for the rest of us? Someone asked. Minji's next slides showed human teachers working with aliens, teaching them how to become stronger. Humans want to share what they know, she said. They believe everyone can learn to be stronger, braver, more adaptable. They want to help us grow. The audience was amazed. Most species kept their survival secrets to themselves, but humans wanted to teach others. There is one more thing, Minji said. The humans have shown us that what we call a death world is really a place of growth. Earth's harsh conditions didn't kill them. They turned humans into one of the strongest species we have ever seen. As the scientists left the hall that day, they couldn't stop talking about Minji's presentation. She had shown them a new way to think about strength and survival. The humans hadn't just survived their deadly world. They had learned from it. And now, they were ready to teach others their secrets. The Galactic Council chamber looked different now. Where there had once been only alien representatives, now humans sat among them. Hajun, the council leader, stood at the center platform, looking at the changed assembly with satisfaction. Today, we begin a new chapter in galactic history, Hajun announced. We offer Earth and its people full membership in the Galactic Alliance. Ambassador Sungmin rose from his seat. He was the first human to stand in this chamber as an equal rather than a subject of study. His simple business suit looked strange next to the elaborate protective gear of other species, but no one doubted his right to be there anymore. Earth accepts your offer, Sungmin said, his voice carrying through the chamber. But we have some conditions to discuss. Hajun nodded. He had expected this. Humans never simply accepted things. They always looked for ways to improve them. First, Sung Min continued, "We want to establish training centers on Earth. Any species that wants to learn how to become stronger can come and train in Earth's conditions." The chamber grew quiet. This was unexpected. Most species would try to keep others away from their homeworld, not invite them to learn their secrets. Second, we want to join your exploration teams. Earth's conditions have prepared us to handle almost anything. We can help make your missions safer. Hajun looked at the other council members. Many were nodding. They had seen what humans could do in the survival challenges. Having humans on exploration teams would be valuable. Third, Sung Min said, "We want to learn from you too. You have technologies we haven't discovered yet. We have strength and adaptability you haven't developed yet. We should learn from each other." The council members talked among themselves. This was not how things usually worked. Most species joined the alliance to gain protection or trade benefits. The humans wanted to create a true partnership. "You offer much," Hajun said. "But what do you want in return?" Sung Min smiled. "We want what we've always wanted. New challenges to overcome, new things to learn, new ways to grow stronger. The galaxy is full of worlds we haven't explored yet. We want to help make it safer for everyone." The council voted immediately. The decision was unanimous. Earth would join the alliance, not just as another member, but as a special partner in making the galaxy stronger. After the ceremony, Hajun spoke privately with Sung Min. "You know," he said, "when we first found Earth, we thought nothing could survive there. Now we come to you to learn how to survive anywhere." "Earth taught us a simple truth," Sung Min replied. "The universe is hard and dangerous, but that's not a bad thing. Challenges make us stronger, dangers make us smarter, difficulties make us better." As they looked out at the stars through the chamber's great window, Hajun understood what the humans had been trying to tell them all along. It wasn't about surviving in spite of hard conditions. It was about growing because of them. The partnership was already changing both sides. Alien species were signing up for training on Earth. Humans were joining galactic research teams. Together, they were becoming something new. A civilization that didn't just survive, but grew stronger from every challenge it faced.